Hey guys, Ron here with the Bannerang. Gonna go ahead and start playing Bloodborne. Now, this is all post commentary because I feel as though the first playthrough for me should specifically be done in post com because honestly, I can concentrate a lot more like that and there's a lot less senseless deaths. Now, the other side note here is that there's actually no audio for the first few episodes because of a mess up on my end with my recording device. Not exactly sure what I did wrong, but I was able to fix it and take care of it. So it actually is recording all of the game audio now. But yeah, so far, very interesting game. I'm quite a few hours into it. Sorry. But yeah, I'm quite a few hours into it. Really enjoying it so far. Incredible story. It's really, I guess, not as. It doesn't feel as hidden as Demon Souls and Dark Souls were. I feel as though the storytelling is a little more out in the open, I guess is a good way to put it. And it's, like I said, it's very interesting. The difficulty so far, though, is pretty much on par with most of the other Souls series. Fantastic pacing. I think the game has done an incredible job so far with its bosses, with its enemies, with its placement here and there. Extremely well done, I believe. But yeah, these guys are weird little things, the messengers. Now, the beginning of the game starts off with who I originally thought was Yosefka, but I guess it's actually not Yosefka because it's actually called Yosefka's Clinic. But anyway, yeah, that's the doll talking right now. Yeah, like I said, the first couple episodes are actually not going to have any in-game audio in them, but I will make sure that the ones after now, anyway, that I've got fixed will have all of the in-game audio. Yeah, the interesting thing about this, I suppose you don't actually have to die here at this first boss. You can, or not boss anyway, but this first werewolf. You can actually run past him and continue on that way. And if you get to the first lamp, I don't think you actually have to die. I think you can go to the lamp and then go to the hunter's dream from there. Unfortunately, that is not how I did it. Which you will see. But yeah, one of the more interesting things about this game, I think, is the way the regain system works. It's extremely, I guess, it wants you to be aggressive in how you fight. And that is, of course, awesome. I am really excited to see the pacing of the game, specifically in regards to the combat, because it's one of those things that if you're extremely aggressive, it does reward you, but if you're too aggressive, it will punish you and kill you instantly. I mean, there are enemies that will one-shot you if you're not paying attention and just delving face first into them. Yeah, sorry, here I'm just kind of running around and checking out some of the moveset, some of the buttons, trying to avoid dying to this guy. Which, of course, you can see on the ground, there's plenty of death everywhere. The little red splotches on the ground are blood stains, essentially. I think they're called, like, specters, yeah. Yeah, see, this is where I messed up here. I should have dodged back to the side. I got caught on the table and ended up getting snagged. Now, I have removed all of the load screens here, so the load screens so far are pretty terrible with Bloodborne. Unfortunately, that's the case. They did announce today that they're releasing a patch to fix that. So hopefully that will be here soon because those load times are absolutely horrendous. Now this is the Hunter's Dream. In the Hunter's Dream, so far that I can tell anyway, there's absolutely... It's pretty much just like the Nexus, in Demon Souls, which I'm sure everybody knows by this point if you're watching this, or at least if you have played Demon Souls and are watching this, then you have a pretty good idea. Yeah, I opted to go for the Threaded Cane because I appreciate the crowd control aspect to it. I like that it's got good range with a wide variety of vertical and horizontal attacks. The main weapon that I've been using up to this point, in my, like currently anyway in my game, I have been using the Kirk hammer. I just now got a hold of a new weapon, which is awesome. It's the great sword that was revealed. It's a long sword and then converts into a great sword. Really good weapon so far. But I'm going for more of a strength skill build and trying to get my stamina up, get my strength up and skill, and go from there. The pistols seem really good too, because it's more. The pistol is used for directional, or not directional, but individual shots. And the shotguns and blunderbusses are actually used more for like AoE type of enemies. So in other words, if you're getting overrun by a bunch of enemies at once, the shotgun will actually blast multiples of them back and stun them. I just like the pistol. The pistol seems better for, in my opinion, for bosses and larger enemies individually. But the repeating pistol that you can pick up here fairly early is really good, but it fires 2 shots at the same time, and it is a pistol. Very good damage as well, considering it is a pistol as opposed to the blunderbuss. Now there is quite a bit of exploration that goes on in my video here, but with the deaths that I've had up to this point, I feel as though I did redeem myself by the end of this episode. I ended up getting to the cleric beast, and well, I'll let you guys see how the video ends on that one. It did go pretty well for me, but the werewolves up on the bridge did not do too well for me, or I didn't do too well against them anyway. I didn't notice that before. There's a little top hat sitting on the ground. It's neat. Yeah, now, again, all this is being done in post-com because I just want to be able to concentrate while I play, and I'm kind of glad that I did it as such, especially since I had an audio issue for the first couple of episodes. So, yeah. Now, so far as I can tell, you can actually hide from a good majority of these enemies. You sneak up on them, stuff like that, and use your attacks, like your charge attack, which is you hold R2 and you'll charge up a strong hit. And I was gonna say, so far you can actually do pretty well with that as long as there's not a group of them. But if there is a group of them, then it's not so great to try to spam critical attacks. Yeah, the Molotov cocktail is pretty good, and I accidentally used one here because stupidly, I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I was trying to put it on a quick item, but I went to the wrong menu and pressed it. Again, little mistakes here and there because I hadn't played this before last night when I'm posting this now, I guess. There's an enemy over there. He's, I'm not sure what he is. He's a reaper of some sort. I don't know. He's a executioner, I believe. Hold a giant axe. I die to him a few times, but then I get back and take care of him. Which is unfortunate. I'll probably fast forward through a few of those. Yeah, now here, again, I really wish I hadn't lost my audio for these. But it happens, and I'm just going to try to, rather than kind of restart and lose all of my progress that I've done from here in, I'm just going to try to get these going, and then in the future episodes I will make sure to have the correct audio in there. Now, the other thing that I was looking at is most of the reviews that have come out for Bloodborne so far have been pretty amazing. I think GameSpot gave it a 9. I haven't seen the entire review in progress from IGN, but so far as I can tell, they are really liking it. There's a couple of criticisms that I have as well, but I'll get to them as I see them in my recording. But then again, a good chunk of this is actually where, I had a more difficult time getting used to how these games play, or how this game plays as opposed to the old Soul series. Because I've put thousands of hours into the entire Soul series between Demon Souls, which was, I think, right around 3,400 hours into Demon Souls. I don't know how many characters I had. One of them was 700, I think. No, it wasn't 700. I think it was 6 something. It was just below max level, and I ended up playing that one the longest. But that was a fun game for that. I'm actually really hoping that Bloodborne turns into much of the same. Hopefully, I can get some feedback and comments and stuff like that for these videos in regard to questions and anything like that you guys might have. I'm mostly trying to focus on keeping the gameplay in postcom, but yeah, we'll see how it goes with the after I get the audio fixed and everything like that. I may end up just trying to do live commentary so you guys can kind of experience it with me, and that way I'm not sitting here kind of wondering what to talk about while I'm watching the playback. Yeah, these guys right here, the shield guys, are pretty aggravating, but you can pretty much bait them by just smacking their shield once and jumping out of the way. They'll retaliate, or try to anyway. Yeah, now here I accidentally used that item. I guess if you hit up on the D-pad, you actually use an item that it stabs yourself. You lose a little bit of your health, but you get 5 temporary Quicksilver bullets. So if you're running out and you really need them, and you have an excess of blood vials, then you can always do a little bit of a trade for health. But it's almost always about risk reward for these games. Now here I'm headed down to that executioner, and I need to open the gate. Yeah, I think I do. But yeah, I open up the shortcut over here, and the executioner is just kind of wandering around. Now he's a pretty difficult first little boss. I think I died to him a couple times, and it's definitely a good way to pace yourself. Yeah, see, and another one of the interesting things about the regain system is that you can actually pretty much get all of your health back if you retaliate fast enough. But again, you run the risk of actually getting yourself killed if you overextend. I'm glad I opened up that shortcut. Yeah, the whip, I actually really did enjoy the whip. I haven't used it after I got a hold of the Kirk hammer, so I may end up going back to it to try it out, but it was a more fun weapon than I thought. I've just seen so many people using the saw cleaver and what was it? The axe, that I felt as though the threaded cane was a pretty good solution to change the pace a little bit. Yeah. See, it's all about learning from your mistakes, and I was able to stay alive a lot longer here because I kind of knew a little bit more about what he would do, but still not quite there yet in regards to staying alive for when it matters. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's definitely a fun game for the difficulty. One of the few complaints I do have is it seems like sometimes certain enemies, no, not all of them, of course, but certain enemies, they track after you extremely well. And I mean, again, it could just be a new part of the system and the way this game plays now, as opposed to the old Souls games. But in Dark Souls 2, there were actually quite a few enemies that would track after you extremely well. I mean, a little too well. While there were bosses and other enemies that did not actually track after you at all. Now, that's not a complaint about man, bullshit deaths or anything like that, because there have been a couple of deaths here that I didn't quite feel that were my fault, but for the most part, this game really does a great job at actually letting you know when you mess up, you messed up. It wasn't really the game that did it. It was your fault, and if you can learn from what you've done, then you will stay alive a lot longer. Yeah. Now, I think there's a few more of these guys down in the next area that I'm about to go into in my game. I'm actually really interested to see how the rest of them fight, especially with my new weapons and stuff. It'd be a lot easier than fighting this guy 15 damage at a time. And I'm also not sure. His glowing eyes right there, you can see that kind of purple flame going around. He's currently holding my blood echoes, which are all of the, for a lack of better vernacular currently, the souls that I have dropped, or the blood that I have left on the ground. Now he picked it up, and I'm not sure if that makes him more powerful, or if it just means that you simply have to defeat him now to get your blood back. Chip away at his health. Yeah, and as soon as you kill him, you do get your blood echoes back. Yeah, the pebble is another really fun thing. It's a thrown item that you can use to lure individual enemies, and it's a pretty nice little addition, I believe. Now you don't have to toss, Molotovs all the time, or throwing knives or whatever. The pebble is a cheap and easy to farm item that you can now use to chuck at enemies to pull individuals, as opposed to pulling multiple groups, or body pulling a multiple enemies, stuff like that. Now, at first, I was a little concerned because I thought it would be too easy. See, I mean, like, okay, there are a couple of things like that, like right there. The enemy sticking his arm through, a wall in the ground to attack me with a fucking torch. And see, those are my only real complaints in regards to some of the ways I've died later on. You'll see in a future video, actually the one right after this, I believe, I get killed by a guy that just flat out attacks me through a wall. That's all he's doing. He's just swinging through a wall, and he's hitting me, and I can't even see him. There are a few problems in regards to that, but I mean, it is also a two-way street. You can cheese enemies by simply sticking behind the wall and attacking them just like they would be able to attack you. And for the most part, the AI is too stupid. Well, I shouldn't say stupid, but the AI is not keen enough to actually try to go around the wall. They'll just try to continuously walk into the wall and while not necessarily a problem for me, it is kind of aggravating that the AI wasn't a little more well designed in the aspect of pathing, anyway. It's like they're not exactly very smart, unless that is on purpose, of course, in which case that's fine. But whatever. Now there's a now that was originally an ambush there that is set up for you to get hit. Now this one right here, I don't know. I think I get hit by this guy 2 or 3 times, and I don't know. I just don't realize it every single time he goes out. He just comes out and smacks me around. Now, the other thing that I was more looking forward to was the co-op. I did a little bit of co-op this morning, but last night it was basically non-existent. I don't know. I kept trying to see if there were be anybody to actually do any co-op with, and I'll get the bell here in a little bit. But even then, last night I think I had like 6 or 7 insight, and you need insight, which is the icon in the top right corner with a little eyeball under the hunter's mark. Anyway, you need an insight to use the bell. Now that bell will basically enable online play, and it'll search for someone else to join your game or you to join their game, vice versa, whatever. And when you do so, it will summon a bell maiden, and she can summon enemy players into your world. And I'm not exactly sure, the logistics and how that works just now, but pretty fun. I only got, I think, one co-op session in this morning, because the rest of the time, I just sat around for 30 minutes to an hour, a couple of times actually, just like farming enemies in the area, trying to do a co-op session, and just nobody was doing anything. So I'm not sure if that's because of lack of people playing online and actually using the bell, or if that is simply server problems. But I've not been disconnected from the servers once, so I'm really not sure if it is a server problem or if it is a problem from the players. Shot in the head, point blank. Talk about a no scope. I don't know if I finished this earlier or not. One of my concerns was about vials, like blood vials and quicksilver bullets. Now, initially I was a little concerned that it would be a little too easy to farm them, but uh, you can farm a good amount of them, and you can usually contain. You can usually hold right at 20 of each. Now there are runes that you can unlock later on through your play that will enable you to uh, bypass those restrictions and like equip extra blood vials or equip extra quicksilver ammo. And I am actually at the boss right now that gives me the workshop item that allows me to equip runes. Trying to cut that out. Now, this is another one of the more interesting things that I've seen. Oh. Now, I'm not exactly sure how well that was heard on the mic, but I will either cut it out or go from there. May leave that in. That was pretty epic, actually. There's a thunderstorm going on outside, so. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. Anyway. Now, the troll here, pretty easy fight, honestly. I think I die a couple of times to 1 or 2 of them, but for the most part, these guys really aren't that bad once you actually get used to how to fight them, or how get used to fighting them. My God, fumbling over my words here. Now the torch is something that you can actually equip in your left hand, similar to what you see the enemies do, and you'll just run around and you can use it as a weapon, I believe. I've never actually really equipped it, but it does go into the equip slot, so. These guys are pretty awesome. They're little, looks like they're just grounded ravens or crows or something. They'll flip out and fly up at you if you let them. Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say this is another little shortcut that you can unlock now. I do need to go back and unlock that. I didn't actually unlock that earlier, so I'll have to come back and do that. I'm pretty sure I know how to get up there. It's from the sewers, I believe. Now, the dogs, in my opinion, the dogs are some of the craziest enemies to actually fight right now because if you're even remotely over aggressive on your attacks with them, they will just run you over immediately. Especially with base vitality. I think I have 10 vitality. I haven't touched it since base. I ended up choosing the military veteran background. And see, now here I charged in because I thought I'd be able to do just fine with the threaded cane. As you can see, that did not work out for me. The dog really is the majority of my hardship through some of these areas. He is just really, really aggressive and hard to kill. And it's, well, I mean, not hard to kill. They die very fast, but they are very quick to run you over if need be. If you let them, anyway. That's a shortcut here. Now, I was taking a look at it because I kind of wanted to look around first before I just start going in the opposite directions. I'll go ahead and skip this part. Yeah, I believe this is where I die again here, and I'm going to just show you the other shortcut that I was going to be taking. Now here, yeah, I cleared this guy out, and then I actually go left and talk to the individual. Now there are little lanterns that if you look down there, that's a little glowing red lantern next to that door. That means that there is somebody inside. Now, the critical attacks are really fun to actually execute, especially against bosses. If you can land them against bosses, then it's just fantastic. Extremely good damage, but, of course, for the most part, they're actually more difficult to land on bosses. The second boss of this game is one of those that it made me more think of the final boss fight in Dark Souls against Lord Gwyn. It looks like you can actually parry most of his attacks just like you could with Gwyn, but of course, you know, he's got 3 phases to him when that boss fight, or to that boss fight. Now here, I'm finally getting back to where I died originally and need to get my blood echoes back. You can see I got a little fed up with some of the dogs. I just decided to start using my gun to shoot them. The dogs can actually get knocked back fairly easily because they're so small, so as long as you are using your gun correctly, you'll be able to take them out pretty quick, pretty easily. Yeah, no, they're extremely aggravating. If you don't kill them first, you're pretty much gonna get run over really fast by anything. Yeah, I almost trapped myself in the back over there. To be very careful with that. Now again, like with that right there, if you go in for the third attack, he will catch you with his torch generally. So you have to be very careful. You can hit twice and then just watch the enemy move. And this bridge troll here, he kind of gets aggravating because I didn't realize that he followed you if you did not attack him. But apparently he does. And then he doesn't want to walk back down the stairs whenever you try to lure him. Now, I was trying to learn how to parry his attacks here, but I kept messing up. Yeah, one of my more liked things about this game is the, I guess, the enemy placement. I don't know. I feel as though it was really well done with how they put the enemies in a pretty logical area, and I guess it goes right back to pacing. It feels great. It doesn't feel like you're doing too much combat. It also doesn't feel like it's too little. I just think Miyazaki did a great job making sure that this game was paced correctly. Trying to sneak up on this dog and decided to say screw it, just run up and slash him to pieces instead. Yeah, and I was starting to run pretty low on blood vials until I got over here, and I ended up restocking pretty fast. And as long as you don't sit here and continuously spam them, you'll be just fine. But being a new player to Bloodborne, that's pretty much what I did. Now, I saw that there was bridge access there, and I decided to run back and go across in the opposite direction to kind of explore a little bit more first. And down here is where all the dog cages are. Yeah, these dogs you can actually just kill while they sit in the cage. Nothing too spectacular about them. And I believe this is that's the dark house, and there's got a shortcut in there. And 2 trolls. So of course I was a little leery about it. But as long as you can separate them, for the most part, they're not too terrible by themselves. Yeah, and one of the more aggravating things with the critical attacks in this is you have to actually time it correctly, because for the most part I shouldn't say it's aggravating because you have to time it correctly, but it's aggravating that whenever you do critically, like when you riposte them, you shoot them in the face with your pistol or blunderbuss, whatever, and they drop to their knee and it hits. If you walk up to them and immediately hit the attack button, most enemies you will actually just swing your sword at them. You won't actually get a critical hit. So even though they are in the critical stance and you can use your critical strike on them, if you swing too quickly, you will actually just swing your sword and smack them, and it'll take them out of the riposte chance, which kind of sucks, because that's a little aggravating whenever you're trying to quickly go through, quickly execute enemies and trying to make sure you're not getting overrun too terribly. So it's a little aggravating sometimes whenever you have to delay yourself just right. But that's part of it. I actually think this will be, I don't know. I think in the other video, in my next video, I may just kind of cut down a little bit of it, or actually a lot of it, to try and get more like a couple of boss fights, a couple of pretty pivotal points and stuff like that. And then I will record my post-commentary over the top of that. Because there is a lot of exploration that's going on in here, and so I don't want it to be too slow paced for people to get aggravated, or with my commentary not still being quite up to snuff yet. I just don't want people to get too terribly bored and not, actually enjoy watching it. So I think in this next video I may end up compressing quite a bit of the footage I got down into one video and show a few pivotal points and boss fights, stuff like that. More interesting areas. Now here I die, I think, 4 or 5 times against these werewolves coming up. Extremely aggravating, but I had to learn all of their move sets and their techniques, and I'll kind of skip along to show you when it happens anyway. I will kind of skip along and show you exactly what I'm talking about. I just noticed his arm like twitched and kind of like spun around real fast. And here's the shortcut. Now, if I remember correctly, coming back down here, I actually got lost for a second trying to find where to go back up. I'm not exactly sure if that's this part or the next one. That leads up to the shortcut to the second boss, actually. Yeah, I'll do a cut here and kind of rejoin the video whenever I get back up there. There we go. Okay, yep, I remembered my way finally. Run down here through the dark house and upstairs. Now, again, these werewolves here are where I died a few times. I honestly think about 4 or 5 times. I don't remember the exact number. But I had to kind of get used to how they moved and their technique, especially with 2 of them. It became even more difficult. Now, yeah, see, the AI, for me, ragging on the AI earlier, right here is pretty good evidence that the AI is not entirely stupid. Maybe, certain enemies really are, but some of the AI is definitely not. And right here, you can see that he was, backing himself around a corner to try to make sure that his buddy got dragged into the fight too. That way he wasn't fighting by himself. Yep. There's death number 1 from those guys. Like I said, it happens a few times. I'll go ahead and cut out the run back on that one. Alright, getting back to the fight, I pick up my blood echoes and then try again. And see, yeah. Now, he's sitting there constantly, he's moving himself back and around to try to lure me a little bit closer to get his friend into the fight, so he doesn't have to fight me by himself. And the AI is pretty good about that. Well, again, specific enemies are actually pretty good about that in regards to knowing how to manipulate the player, because they know that you will grow impatient and that you will, or at least for the most part, newer players will grow impatient and want to fight, but they also don't want to just sit there and stand there all day. That's one of the things, again, of risk reward and overextending yourself. Now here, I'm just going to leave this in because it's actually, I start running back pretty quickly. Now, this guy in the wheelchair back here, after you kill this guy anyway, this guy with the cutlass. Now, the guy in the wheelchair, every time you kill him, I think he drops 4 quicksilver bullets, like guaranteed every time. So if you really do need Quicksilver bullets, you can come back through here and kill that guy a few times, and it'll help restock your supply. I'm not sure if they start doing something similar to what Dark Souls 2 did or something like that, where eventually if you kill an enemy too many times, he may stop spawning or just dropping items, which I feel in Bloodborne it's probably more the latter than the former. It'll probably just punish you by trying to farm them and instead removing the item that they drop, not just removing the enemy. Now, yeah, if you continue to attack an enemy even after they're dead, as long as you contact the body, even though you're not dealing any more damage or anything like that, you will actually get a little bit more of your health back through the regain system. So here I was trying to get used to my timing and my riposte attacks with the pistol. And I only had one of them right there, so it was a lot easier for me to deal with, but didn't stay that way for long, as you can see. His friend eventually joined the fight, and he has his purple eyes there, and I lost all my blood echoes. Now, here I'm trying to see if Molotovs work a little bit better for them, and they do, but the Molotovs are also hard to aim with the mobility of these enemies. They're also very low to the ground, so I get caught here and die again. Coming back for my next attempt. Yeah, no, okay, I do die here too. I actually run. I remember now. I ran away and tried to get my distance to see if keeping them at a little bit more of a range would work better for the whip, and it seemed like it was working a lot better, but that's not always the case. Now, I'm actually really glad that they put these enemies here before this first boss, because the first boss was really fun, extremely overwhelming, I guess, at first, because for a first boss, he is massive, he pretty aggressive, and he also is not afraid to just plunge headfirst, at you. And even if it's going to give you some damage, he knows he's a boss and he can overtake you, no problem. Which is, again, as much as I was wanting to crap on the AI earlier, it was really well done. Now here, I know this, I actually, kind of in my own head, whenever I was playing through this at this part, I was like, okay, I'm kind of done practicing, and I'm actually going to go through and try to put forth what I've learned. And it goes a lot better for me. So yeah, at this point I was actually utilizing everything that I learned, tried to get my blood echoes back, and then now it's time to fight them for real. Now, if you correctly time yourself every time like that, you can actually get parries or ripostes on them pretty easily. It's really not all that hard against these guys. Uh, it's a lot of these enemies like this can come off as very intimidating because, of course, being new to the game and new enemies, stuff like that, you don't know their patterns, so you're not exactly familiar with what they're going to do, and it's very unpredictable. And I don't know. Once you kind of calm down and gather yourself, it becomes a lot easier because as long as you don't panic, there's, well, really no reason for you to. You can easily overtake them. Now here I was trying to figure out how to do an emote, but I did not figure that out till later. You actually click the left side of the touchpad to bring up your emote bar, and the right side to bring up your personal items. And that right bar is actually used for quick use. So you can have, I think, 6 items on your quick item bar down there at the bottom. Now, if you click the right side of the touchpad, it'll, personal effects here. Now you can hit triangle and it'll open up your little menu, and here you go. And you can put any of your items on there for quick use. that it's a good way to give you another bar without actually making you filter through 10 items like Dark Souls 2. Uh, like Dark Souls and Demon Souls, I feel as though were a lot better about that, where they gave you five, I believe. Not, I don't think it was six. I believe it was five. But yeah, you had 5 items on your quick use bar. And Bloodborne did a good job on improving on that because it gave you the 5 items that you really want to use, and then for personal effects like you can put the bell up there, you can put the notebook up there, stuff like that that you're not going to be using all the time, but it's something that you will want to keep on there just in case you do want to use it often. Now, the Cleric Beast boss fight was probably the most fun I had last night. I don't know. Maybe it was because of how the fight went, but it was just incredibly fun to get in there and finally see like what this game had to offer in regards to boss enemies, stuff like that. And I kind of take a quick look around here real fast, and I actually think I got up to get something to drink right here. Again, this fight, too awesome. Too awesome. The way the boss yells and screams, and the sounds it makes with how it moves and how I don't know. It's too cool. It was definitely one of the best start fights to a Souls game. It was, in my opinion, better than the Phalnix fight in Demon Souls. Now, Demon Souls had a really good introductory fight because it did teach you what you needed to know about the game, because the boss wasn't too terribly hard, but if you overextended, you definitely got your ass whipped. Now, in Dark Souls, the first boss, technically being the Taurus Demon, although, I mean, I know you didn't really have to fight him first, but most new players actually fought the Taurus Demon first. And the Taurus Demon was actually a pretty straightforward fight, especially whenever they gave you the plunging technique here at the beginning. Now, again, for beginners, that is definitely the best way to go in regards to that boss fight. But, you can also fight the Hydra first if you had the Master Key. You can actually go around and go down below and fight Kalag first if you wanted. And Dark Souls was pretty good about that because it gave you quite a few options in regards to what you wanted to fight first and where you wanted to go. And for all I know, you may not actually have to fight the Cleric Beast first. And I'm sure we'll find that out, and I certainly will do my best to figure that out. But who knows at this point. But yeah, and then I think Dark Souls 2, I'm having a hard time remembering the first boss fight for that one. I mean, the ogres aren't really bosses. I mean, they're more mini bosses than anything, but I don't know. I'm really trying to remember the first boss fight for that game, because I know as soon as you get to Majula, you actually get to choose pretty much where you want to go. So the Dragon Rider was a very straightforward and easy boss fight. Like, I don't care who you are. That fight was really straightforward and easy. You could have gone for Dragon Slayer Ornstein, and I mean, if you played Dark Souls 1 at all, then that fight was pretty trivial, especially since you didn't have Fatty on there helping him out. I don't know. I mean, and then of course you can always go the route of what was that boss's name? I don't know. I can't remember the name. It's near the fire spouts where you had to go. The giant, the last giant, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. Again, all of those fights pretty straightforward and pretty easy fights, to be honest, compared to what this game had to offer, even in Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls. But I feel as though that was partially due to the fact that Miyazaki was not, actually involved in Dark Souls 2, so that doesn't surprise me, really. Now this, I've been kind of rambling on while this fight's been going on, but yeah, this fight was Very well done. I couldn't believe myself, like what I was saying. Honestly, yeah, got a riposte here. Luckily enough. I was really happy how this went. I mean, I'm sure as you guys can see already. Well, it. I don't know. I just had an absolute blast. I can't really describe it. I had a smile on my face the whole time. I wasn't stressed out. I wasn't pissed off. You know, anything like that. It was just a smile on my face the whole time and just enjoying the fight because I felt as though it was actually a very challenging fight, but it wasn't too much. Because as long as you actually pay attention to his movements and everything, you will be just fine. And I think it was a very, very well done first boss for beginners and experts alike. I felt as though the challenge was perfect on it. And there he goes. Defeated the cleric beast my first try. I was pretty proud of that one. Now the sword hunter badge that allows the messengers to sell you the repeater pistol and the Kirk hammer. Man, that was so much fun. Now, this is pretty much where the video is coming to a draw, or coming to an end anyway. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. I'm trying to get a little bit better with my commentary, and you know, hopefully with the audio and the background and everything as I go, it will get a lot better. And I really do appreciate you guys sticking with me, and if you made it to the end, I appreciate it even more. Have a good one, guys.